Good afternoon, everyone. This is Robin Carter, and I am an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator out of Flower Mound, Texas. So thank you for joining me today. Today I'm here to share my third video of alternates using the Sunshine and Smiles paper pumpkin kit that was for February of 2023. So if you've missed any of my other videos, they are in my on my channel. Just click on videos and you should see them all. And then I want to give a special sound out to all my subscribers out there. Thank you so much for subscribing to my channel and supporting me. And if you are brand new to my channel, then I would really appreciate if you would hit the subscribe button below. And if you like this video, give me a thumbs up and share it with your other friends that may have this kit and may not have found my channel. So we did in our first video, if you're following my alternates, we had the card bases, and I really didn't like how you would have nowhere to write on the card, right? So what I did is I turned all of the basic design into card fronts, and with this one I showed how we can make our own rainbow using the blending brushes. So if you missed that video and you still have these card bases, go check that out in my on my channel. So for those of you that followed it, we're going to have half of this pretty cardstock to use on alternates. So let me get started with my first alternate. Let's do him. Okay, so what I did is I made these two alternates, and I kind of want to, this is kind of using your own supplies, sort of, and this one is using more from the kit. And then it also uses an envelope. So I'm going to show you how I cut my envelope. And if you are a subscriber of mine, then I will create a PDF that will have the cut guides for all of the envelopes and cuts that we make. So let me get out my trimmer and share some tips of how I cut my envelope. So the first thing I do is I take a little sliver, and I have a sliver in my track I didn't get out. Let me blow him out. Okay, nope. I may have to use my take your pick tool or a fine needle or something to get him out. He's just down in the track. There we go. Keep your track clean, and I think you get better cuts that way. All right, so I'm going to put my envelope just where I'm going to cut just a fine piece off of the end. And a tip on cutting is you always want to cut in the direction that your paper is pressing against this. Okay, and if you're using the bottom track, let me move this up into same thing. If you're pulling this direction, I would put your paper at this end. Okay, that just helps your paper not to shift, because if you were to want to cut this way, your paper may slide up, and so then you'd have an uneven cut. So that's just a tip to have even cuts. So once you've cut open the sides, you then can open it up and see all the pretty inside of this envelope. So I'm going to cut it again just at the just shy of the score line so that I don't get much fraying, and hopefully my blade was still very sharp, so I didn't get any fraying. Now save this for our next card because we're going to use it, and I'll show you how to cut that then. So for the card here, like I said, I've already made two. I cut the card front. You should have at least 4 1/4 left if you cut it in half. And I cut this at 1 3/8. I think you get 2 at 1 3/8 and 1 at 1 1/2. Again, the measurements are not precise. I just wanted a good amount on each side. All right, so that'll be our side here. And then on this right side, I wanted some pretty paper, so I decided to use the envelope. Now your envelopes, as you know, they're wider than 5 1/2. So I cut one side at 5 1/2. Okay, let me get back in the camera. My angle is shorter than my trimmer. Okay, so I made that 5 1/2 that way. Okay, so then you want to cut this off, and I think it's like 275. Let me see. It could be 2.5 because we're going to have some paper there to cover it. If you don't have the mango paper, you may want to go a little bigger, and I'll show you why. All right, so here is for this card. Yes. And then you have this left. Now, if you don't want this score line in your other one, then you can use just a sliver of it for something else. But I'm going to show you, you can get 2 of these. I'm going to do another 2.5 cut. And this one, you know, it still gets some of the angle. So what I decided was, well, I won't have this one go top to bottom. It'll be a little less than 5.5. So I decided to do this at 5 3/8. So I'm going to put this at 5 3/8 and then cut. So I would do the same thing to my card base if I were using this piece. Okay, so I'll save this piece for another design, but that's how I cut the envelopes for this card. Let me get the trimmer out of the way. And I'm trying to go a little slower this time. My last video, I was trying to get it done quickly, and I missaid what's a kit and what's... it just wasn't my best video. Let's put it that way, or I didn't think so. So, forgive me for that, and hopefully you understood what I meant to say in the last video. All right, so I have a card base here. And again, I'm going to check to see which side may be a hair bigger. And I'm going to adhere my envelope piece first. For this, you can use liquid glue, but the envelope paper, as you know, is very thin. So it may show through unless you use just a little bit of glue. So be sparing with it. Don't do a big clump. It may make your paper bubble. And mine is just about, no wonder that's my wrong glue. It's not my favorite glue. Tombow is my favorite. All right, so I just splattered some on there. You could use double-sided tape, but I like the wiggle room this gives me. And then I'm going to decide, I'm going to put my brighter piece up top. All right, and I like to leave a little white space on the left and right of my cards, even when the tall part goes top to bottom. Okay, and then we're going to put our card base piece. Here he is. I have lots of these cut because I started this video and my volume was not on. So I'm starting over. All right. You too can be a demonstrator and do videos if you choose. I make all kinds of mistakes that you guys, I'm sure, know about. Okay, so I'm going to put this here, and I'm going to have a gap. This is why I said if you don't have mango paper, well, actually, you know, it looks pretty good like it is, but I'm going to cover that up with some mango paper. So I store all my paper in hanging file folders, and I have all kinds of little strips left. And I save these for card designs like this. So let me show you. I just take this strip, I need my trimmer again, and this one is all the way top to bottom, so I'm going to cut this at 5.5 to use to cover that gap. Okay, so I'll use this one on another card. I'll stick it in my little goodie envelope. So I'm going to put this right here in the gap. Now, if it was a random cut piece this wide, I don't think I would save it, but I cut solid strips. And these come from like when I cut 4 card fronts at like 4 by 5 1/4. I have these little bitty strips left, but I save them to use on cards like that. So there's the base of our card. And then we have our design. Now, of course, since I messed up, I've already used that, so I have to get another sheet of DSP. Well, maybe I'll show you what I did on another card to kind of make a scene. I'll do that instead. I think you get the picture of using the DSP. So I thought, well, what if you don't have the DSP? So I created the best I could a stormy sky. And how I made this was I took basic gray ink and balmy blue ink, and I used the blending brushes. And I'm reaching over here for them. I just kind of went whimsically, like stripes of blue, and then I came in and did stripes of gray, leaving some blue sky. Okay, so then I thought, well, if you've been a Paper Pumpkin subscriber for a while, you have this set, and this was 3 years ago from March of 2020. It came with a bonus set, but I want to mention that this kit is actually available in the kits collection online. It doesn't include the bonus stamp set that we received as a Paper Pumpkin subscriber, but it does have this stamp set. And this stamp set has clouds and rain and little puddles. So that's what I did here. I used the rain stamp. It's a little bitty, so it took me a while because I did lots of rain. You could do less rain. I probably would. Okay, and then I use this for the puddles down here. All right, so that is my stormy sky made on my own. So I hope you like that. And then I want to share a tip. I cut these clouds out of the designer series paper, you know, here and here, and that's what I used here. But again, I thought, well, if you don't have the designer series paper, what can I do? So I've traced clouds. Here's my little box of goodies. And so they're just white, both sides. These are the clouds from the kit. And then you could get a Sharpie or a gel pen, and I could not find my fine tip Sharpie, or you could get the black Stampin' Write marker. All right, so then I just took the fine tip like I was stamping. So let me get my grid deluxe mat so I have something other than white to follow. And I just then went along, leaving a border kind of like it was a stamp. Okay, outlining. And I'm going to try to go faster, but make it good. But this is what you could do if you didn't have the designer series paper. Okay, so there's your cloud. Looks like it was stamped. And then I took my basic gray watercolor pencil and I just did some scribbles on it. Okay, and then maybe even some swirls. All right, so you could do the whole thing that way and apply more pressure at the bottom. I took a blender pen. Okay, so you have a choice. You can either use blender pens, and they come in a pack of 3. Although a new solution is to use the Stampin' Blend's Color Lifter. So it kind of does the same thing, and actually what it helps is, I'm going to get a new one out. It helps to not peel your paper as much. So with your blender pen, you're going to have to work faster, and you don't get to go over it as much. I'm just going to blend this color in on the cloud. Okay, so that is how I made those clouds on this side. So I like to give those options just for those of you who like the design but don't. Now, you're not going to have the turtle if you don't have the DSP. The stamp set that coordinates with this is still available, so you could always get it. The dies are not available yet, but they are coming. And then I wanted to show you one more trick. So if you have the DSP and you have all these half turtles, right? Well, I used one of them on this to already have a done one to show you. So what I would do is I would just stick him like he's walking off the scene, right? And then, of course, I don't have another frog colored for this card, but I would color him, put him here. And the DSP was cut to 3x4, and I do that so I have the most use of my DSP. I then embossed it with the Raindrops embossing folder, and I stuck that on the card with dimensionals to give it a little dimension. So that was this card. I'm not going to put the rest together. I'm going to move on to the other. They're all kind of done with the same design, but I want you to see the different use of it. Let me put this in here so I can finish mine later. Okay, the next one I want to show you is the pig one. So I chose to use the pink card base half that we have left over for the pig because of he was pink. I'm going to leave that in there. Okay, so here is my finished card. All right, so I have a card base. We'll feel to see which side opens better. And I have my DSP already mounted on a piece of white paper. Actually, I embossed it first with the Raindrops folder, and then I attached it to my white. I've cut my 3-inch bases into 3 strips. Okay, and this one, I'll say just, I did this to speed it along. So I already have the pink piece on here and the gray granite piece that I embossed with the Raindrops. Now, if you don't have gray granite, you could leave it white. I just like the gray granite behind there. So that's what I chose to do. So the same thing with the frog. If you get some clouds that go off like this, and you don't want to waste those, here's one from the other side. I simply make it like it's coming from the side. And I had one that was at the top, and so I made him be like he's going off the scene there. So you could use these clouds if you have them. If not, you can make your own like I showed in my previous card. You get some more clouds. Okay. So I'd like to put my scene together before I adhere them. So this pig, I cut his puddle off, and his puddle was nice and big enough for the frog, which I've already stamped and colored and die cut out. Okay, so there is my scene. So let me adhere this down. Whoops. I do have sticky fingers already. I just noticed my shirt kind of matches the pink. Okay, so you get to use all those clouds. Put the pig here. And then the frog is going to share his puddle. I just love the little frog. His little eyes are so cute. Okay, so there he is. And then I'm going to put this on dimensionals. Hope it's good and doesn't move. Oh, I need to cut some in half. This is an old set of dimensionals that came in a paper pumpkin kit. And how I can tell is, a year or so ago, they used to be thicker, but they started having some quality control issues where the backing, when they take it off, it was taking off the glue as well. So I think they went with just whoever makes their regular dimensionals. which I like those better. They're a little more cushy. These are kind of stiff. And I use dimensionals on just about every card. I think it makes such a difference. So I have quite a stash of dimensionals. All right. And these backings end up all over my house. I guess they stick on my socks or shoes. Okay, now to put this on it, I'm going to put it a little high. And the reason I'm going to do that is to save room for a sentiment. So this sentiment comes from the stamp set that is included in the kit. And all I did was stamp it on a scrap sheet of white. And then kind of like I did the cloud, I took my black Stampin' Right marker and just kind of made a whimsy border around it to make it look kind of like the ones that came in the kit. So I'm not going to do that here. I think you get the idea. Now on this one, I did put some ribbon, which I did not do here. So if you have some spare ribbon or even just a scrap piece of white paper, that would work. So I'm taking mine off so that I can add that later. But you got the idea of the picture. So again, I like us to separate either a white piece of paper or if you have some ribbon around your house. That's what I put on this one. So you can get 3 of these type of cards. Or you can get creative and do your own. Paper pumpkin kits really give me a jumping start to being creative and making my own because of the colors are already there. A theme is kind of already there. So it just kind of helps grow your creativity. Okay, and I have one more theme. Let's see. Did I use the green one already? Okay, so I'm going to show you this scene. So again, it used one of the mango prints. So I wanted to create like a sunset scene. Isn't that cute? So I just came up with that. And what I did is I used one of these. Now, to be frugal, I took my stitched rectangles and I cut out the center so that I can use this part for another card. Okay, so I just left that in there so I could show you what I did. All right, so we have a card base and we'll fill. And then we'll put this down here. And I cut this again to like 5 3/8 and 4 1/8. I just like having a little bit of white border. Excuse me, let me get a drink. My throat's getting dry with all this gabbing. Okay. So let's adhere this down. Just little dots. Whoops. Hello. All right, I have to pick this up off my white grid sheet because I can't see where I'm leaving a border and where I'm not. Okay. But this helps me keep everything I'm doing in the screen of my camera so that you guys can see everything. All right, so here is our scene. And so remember that other sheet piece of envelope, the back flap, I guess is what that is, that I told you to keep. I told you to keep that because we're going to use that on here. And so I've already cut one. And as you can see, all I did was cut the sides off. Okay. And then I cut here. Let me turn this over so you can see the difference. So I cut the sides off and then I cut this to make it square. And I believe this is probably going to be 3 by, we'll see, it's 4 1/4 by 3 5/8. So that's what this piece is. And then I have a piece of mango that's just 1/8 of an inch or 1/4 of an inch bigger. It is 4 1/2 by 3 5/8, because I think I said this is 3 3/8. Okay, so I have that to mat our scene. So I'm going to adhere that to this. This was my favorite alternate, using the supplies from the kit. Now my second video with the frogs and the wagon and everything, that has to be my first love of my alternates. This is my second. Okay, so there you go. Now I created my own grass piece just like I did in the second video. So if you've missed those videos, just go to my channel and click on videos, and you can see these alternates as well as others. Now this grass is a little taller. I'm going to trim him down. I like to give myself extra space in case I mess up. Alright, so I'm just going to trim this a little bit. No particular measurement. Whoa, just so it's not as tall. By the way, last I looked, the little piggy, playful piggy dies, I'll show you that. These are still on the clearance rack, and they are like $12.40. So even if you're not a fan of the pig stamps, which I think they're awfully cute too, look at all these other stamps you get. You get the wagon, you get the grass that I used to make this. There's banners, there's little pennants, and there's leaves. Actually, those look like, I don't know what kind of leaf. It just left me. A little bow. It has a little bird. So I used the bird on my second set of alternates as well. So if you do not have a demonstrator, I would really appreciate if you're going to place an order to either use my host code if your order is less than 150. If it's 150 or more, then do not use the host code and you will earn your own Stampin' Rewards. And again, if you don't have a demonstrator, I would love to be yours, and you can just pick me, Robin Carter, in Flower Mound, Texas, as your demonstrator, and I will be sending you a thank you gift for your orders. So that was just a side note to how I made the grass, and you can find all the other videos here. So I did put this on dimensional, so I will add that last. So the grass piece is bigger. Should have left my trimmer out because I knew that. I just like to do a whole sheet so I can trim it down to whatever size my paper is. So this was 3 3/8. No, 4, and this was 4 1/4. I'm off video again, aren't I, with my trimmer. And by the way, when you do use your trimmer, keep a flat surface because it will bend and you won't get straight cuts. Just a warning there. All right, so there's a scrap piece. I hope you like all my tips. I like to give tips even if they're repeat tips if you've watched my videos before. Helps you remember. Right, here's my scene. All right, and I have a little boo-boo here. So am I going to cut that off? I think I'm going to cut that off. I still have plenty of grass. Oh, and take my own advice. Have a flat surface. Trim him just a little more to get rid of that white. I found the faster you cut, the better it does. Okay, so I got rid of my boo-boo. We're going to glue the grass down. And I show how to make this grass in my second video as well. So be sure to check those out. I also show how to, my new way to get even border around your die cuts. Okay, so there's our grass. Now, you purposely do not want to put a lot of glue right here along the grass because we're going to put make our sunset and stick the sun down in there. So I have my other half of the sun that I cut in half. Let's see if he's big enough. So this sun is in our stamp set as well. He is. I love that. Okay, so it has to be here. My glue disappears on me. You guys are probably like, it went over here. Here it is. I'm trying to go slower so I don't make as many mistakes. All right, so I'm going to tuck the sun down in the grass about midway. I'm not even going to measure, just having the sun setting. And I've already colored and die cut out. Well, I die cut first and then I make my frog. So we'll find a place for him. And I've already also done a set of flowers that we're going to tuck in there. Okay, so I'm just going to put some glue on the flowers themselves because the stems are I'm going to stick them down in the grass. Okay. All right, so there we have some flowers. And then I wanted some clouds. So I'm going to show you what I did with these clouds that I've stamped already. I wanted to have like a sunsetting type of color, kind of like the ones in our kit. They have there's a little pink in them as well if you look closely. So I'm going to get my scrap piece of paper. I have my clouds and I need my blue blending brush. Actually, I'm going to use my small one since these are small little clouds, and my flirty flamingo. So what I do is I take my balmy blue and I'm going to make a little puddle of ink on a block. This is an old block from a kit. Okay. Then I get my blending brush and I swirl it on there. Okay, and then just like not even touching, no pressure, I'm just dropping it down on there to lay some blue ink. So very light. That might have been a lot of ink. Let's see, is there a blue? You know, there may be watercolors you could use for this, watercolor pencils. All right, so I just kind of make my blue clouds. Then I take my flirty flamingo, and I'm going to try just to do it straight from the little spot. I've never done this. Let me see how this works. And then along the bottom, oh, he was well. He worked well. I'm going to put a little pink on the cloud. These are going darker than my other one, but each one is going to be unique. Let me set him down. So I'm right. Oop, don't get too much. If you get too much, you can go back and use your blue. Kind of make it purple. Okay, so that's how I did my sunset clouds. And so I'm going to put those in the sky. I almost added those same, looks like I have two there. I do. Well, that's how I did the sunset skies. You know what? I better put these like this because she's smaller. All right, so that's my evening sky. You know, I'm not happy with this cloud. I'm going to make another one and I'll add him later. Don't want to take your time. You get the idea. So we're going to put our frog. I think I want him to cover up this little patch on my card. It's a little bigger. So he's admiring the sunset and looking at the pretty clouds. Okay, and then in your stamp set came this one's hard to close, a little bitty hello stamp. Now, do not take him off a block unless you're putting him away in the stamp set, because you will lose him. So I took a scrap piece of paper. Here's one. And I used Memento. Now with this little bitty stamp, you're going to have to be careful not to smush him into your ink. So I just kind of pick up my ink and tap him lightly. And let's see if he did okay. Nope. Oh, that's because he was uneven on my scrap piece of paper. Oh. Okay, there he is. Like I said, little bitty. So I have a punch. It's called the Best Label Punch, and it goes with the Alpha Best bundle, but I thought he was the perfect size to punch out my hello. Oops, upside down. So I use that for that. So again, I put this on dimensionals. I ran out of dimensionals, didn't I? You want to use the same size one. So since I didn't have many of those others left, I'm going to use a new set. Get them trimmed in half. I should do this ahead of time, but anyway. So how do you guys like these alternates? I really like kind comments to read. If you have them, please share. I kind of pretend like my audience is in front of me, even though it's just myself and my little kitty over here sleeping in his chair. But my glue where I'm going to add my cloud later. And then I just center that up, however. And how I do that is I kind of count. Okay, I've got 1, 2, about 1, 2 stripes there. And excuse my missing cloud, I will add him later. And I think that is all my alternates. Let's see, I showed that. I showed the frog. Oh, no, I'm missing one. Sorry. Back. I haven't used the blue one yet. So let's get busy doing that one. So like I said, I love this one. I hope you guys like it as well and make good use out of your kit. I'm going to set this aside. I knew I was missing one because I wanted to use each one of the kits. So this one uses the blue. All right, I have my card base. Let me show you the card I made. So I made a sunny sky scene. So same goes with the one I did with the rain. If you didn't want them to be in a rainy sky because you didn't have the DSP, well, he has an umbrella. But you could just pick a different animal or just use your frog if you don't have the DSP and make a nice sunny day. All right. So again, I did the same thing with my half of my card that I saved. I cut it into 3 pieces. Okay, of course I've used this one here. And I thought the blue check deserved a sunny sky. All right, so then I took a side piece of cardstock. Now I embossed this one with the Painted Posies 3D embossing folder, which I was okay with. It just didn't have anything there. So I thought I would try my second one with the new Cane Weave. Hold on, let me get the right name. Yes, it is Cane Weave 3D embossing folder. Now, speaking of embossing folders, there are a brand new set of 3 that are part of the online exclusive sale that started yesterday for everyone. So there's some brand new products and they're called online exclusives. And the only reason they're called that is because they're not available in a brochure. They're not shown in a brochure, so you can see them online. And if you're interested in any of those products, again, here's my new March host code. And if you have any questions, you can always leave those in the comments below or contact me through my website, which is I'll have a link to that below as well. Let me show you, grab those. Here are the embossing folders. Now they come in a 3-pack. I am addicted to embossing folders. For one, they're relatively inexpensive. They're usually about $10 a piece. So they package these 3 in 1. I would get them all anyway, so I'm kind of glad I only have to enter 1 number. Let me show you the patterns. There's a big, and these are all 3D embossing folders. They're just called the Basics 3D embossing folders. And there's a dot, and since it's 3D, it really makes some big dots. That would be cute here. There's also a, what is that called? Hatch something. Let me see if you can get a better angle where you can see that one. There you go. I like that one. It's kind of subtle and would go with anything. And then this side, I'm not sure if that's stars or flowers, but it's pretty as well. So along with dimensionals, I love adding texture to my cards by dry embossing some white paper or whatever color is coordinating with my cards to use. So again, these are part of the online exclusives. They're called the Basics 3D Embossing Folder. And if you go to stampinup.com and then go to online exclusives, it may even be a highlight on your start page. You'll see those, as well as some other pretty products, which I plan on purchasing soon. Okay, so back to this card. So I also have the deckled rectangles. Now, if you don't have these, you can cut just a plain square, but I haven't used these a lot. So to go with the kind of whimsical theme of this kit, I thought I would try using my decals. So I used the third largest one for my mat and the 4th largest one for my scene paper. So I'm going to make this scene with you. All right, so our blue blending brush again. Let me see, it still has ink on it. It does have a little, and then I was using my big one earlier. And it's out. So you get my blue block again. It's getting everything colored. I'm going to go ahead and just use my big brush, pick up whatever ink I have left on this block. Am I shaking the camera? Sorry, it's attached to my table. Hope I don't make you dizzy. All right, so I just made a blue sky with my blending brush. And then I'm going to get my green. I have all kinds of stuff over there. My cards I just showed you. Okay. Let's see if there's any ink on these. Not lose my hello. A little bit. All right, so I'm going to use Old Olive. I'm going to try just picking him up from the ink pad. Starting off. And then on. So there's a pretty grass scene. So you can do it as light or dark as you like it, just by more pressure and more ink. I'll see if I can fix that. Okay, so there is our basic scene. Let's see how I like him. He looks good. I'm going to adhere him to my decal Balmy Blue cutout. You remember when decals were popular back, I don't know, was it 90s? I like these. These are pretty subtle, so it's not like crazy like they used to be. All right, so here's our scene. Let me clean up my workspace. And let's put our card layers on. Which one do you guys like better? Well, you wait till you see this one. As I said, I think that one was Painted Posies. Now I can tell I cut this to 5 3/8. So I want to see if I've cut one of these to 5 3/8. This one I did. So we're going to use that one. I think that one I did as well. All right, so now we're going to put this on. Now the only trick here is this is going to be a little more raised, and that's okay. On the other one, I put some retired ribbon that I had. By the way, I love getting ribbon off the clearance rack and adding it to my stash to use over and over. There were some new items added to the clearance rack not too long ago. Just a few, so always, check that out once a week or so and see what's available. Like I said, the Playful Piggies are still there for your wagon and lots of goodies there. All right, I'm going to have this. Do I have a sun? I do have a sun in my envelope. Prepared, I'm glad. This is actually a cloud from the kit. And that's a mango sun, or I stamped him more than once. I have the frog, and I have a set of flowers already done. Oh, I didn't do my grass. Oh, good, I don't have dimensionals on there. I'm going to do my grass sprigs. Now, if you have that March kit that I showed earlier, the bonus stamp set was some grass, so you could use that. But I'm going to use my oceanfront stamp, which I had earlier, and now I have a mess of alternates all over my desk. I have a nice little bucket to start out with that I put stuff in, and I'm not finding him. So I will just kind of show you what I did here. I did put this on my card with dimensionals. Get back over in the scene here and get rid of my scrap paper. I have alternates and DSP and blending brushes, everything but the grass stamp. So he's going to show up. Oh, here he is. He's over here in my chamois. All right, I have a cloud on there from the paper pumpkin kit. I'm going to put him off. All right, so now we can actually finish. But what I can't do is stamp off the edge like that there. I could if I use a piece of scrap paper. I'll use the one I threw on the floor. All right, so I like to go off the scene with that decal. It's probably not going to be as good, but oh, he did good. All right, so I'm just going to random make it look like grass. Okay, ooh. Let's see. Well, didn't do so well there, but it looks like whimsy grass. So do your grass first before you glue it to your base there. Now, I wasn't real happy that the stems had nowhere to put themselves, but that's just what they are. So I glued them on there. I guess I could have made a rock or something that they could sit behind, but some gravel or something. So I'm gonna do this one the opposite. And then I put my frog on dimensionals. I think I need another sip of water. all this gabbing. Okay, so I'm going to put the frog here. And do I have another? Here's my sun. So I'm also going to put my sun on dimensionals. Put about 3 on him. Okay, so let me know if you like the slower paced video. The last one, I was really trying to get it done quickly, but all right. And then the cloud, I'm just going to glue behind the sun a little bit. Okay, now I will add later the little daisy embellishments. They are still unavailable. They said they were supposed to get them in the end of the month, so hopefully they'll be end of February actually. So hopefully they'll be coming soon. And they're this little, they're little bitty, and so I love them. They're cute. They're flexible, pliable. They come in the white. Excuse me. There's 2 different sizes. There's a larger white and a smaller one, and then the same thing with the yellow ones. So I just added 3 of those along here, and then I put this on dimensionals. So I'm not going to do that yet because I want to put some ribbon, but so there is my alternate. So let me get them all out, regroup what all we did today. So we just did this one. I'm going to put him in his kit to finish up later. All right, we have, so this uses the blue card extra. This one uses the pink. You'll have to do the mango one. You'll have to use one for this. You can make 3 of these. You can make 3 of each one with 1 card base. And then of course my other one was my favorite sunset. So this uses a whole base where I cut out the center. Here's a finished one. So this is how I'm going to use the remainder of my supplies. If you have any questions, please reach out to me. Leave it in the comments below. I try to get to those as soon as I can, and let me know what you think about these alternates. So thanks for joining me today. I hope this inspires you to get out your kit and work with it as well and use it up to get ready for the next kit coming up. So have a great day, everyone. Thanks for watching. Till my next video, have a good day.